You don't want to be every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that thing. I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that. Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Stripes like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're After Dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzzer beaters. We coming live all through your speakers, go.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckhouse here with the Man Hour. Head over to manhourradio.com and check out the merchandise page, as we do got a promo code happening right now till the end of the week. The promo code is Sunset. It'll save you 10% on all orders and also free shipping over there at manhourradio.com. Also, we will be giving away a trip to Vegas here on April of year 2022, the weekend of the NFL draft. We will be paying for your flight and hotel the weekend of the draft, and you get entered by heading over to youtube.com/manhour and hitting that join button and becoming a member for $5.99. That gets you access to the Vegas trip. It gets you behind the scenes footage. It gets you the access to the after hours footage and more merchandise discounts. And after 6 months of being a member, you do get a free t-shirt. We do got an action-packed show for you tonight. We are going to be breaking down the AFC West, the NFC South, AFC South, and of course, we have to pick the game of the year tonight, Dallas Cowboys versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is happening in just 24 hours here. But before we get too carried away, my right-hand man, my peanut butter to my ladies, Mr. Brandon BC Combs. What's going on, Combsy?
What is going on, Buck? What is going on, Man Hour Nation, Big X Radio, all our people over in the UK, drinking tea, eating crumpets, all that stuff you guys like to do out there in the UK. What is going on? You know, Buck, I was cracking up today, not going to lie.
Yeah.
You know, you always introduce me as Brandon BC Combs.
Right.
And, you know, that's the nickname you guys have chosen to give me here on the show. And so remember last week I had a shout out, which I have to apologize to Pam. I said she was an office assistant. She's actually a manager.
Okay.
So she called me out on that. And Liz, who, you know, works in the office and she messages me today and she goes, what is up with Beastie? I said Beastie. She goes, yeah, your radio nickname. I said, Beastie?
Like
I
bestiality?
said, no, it's BC. it's BC. I said, you know what though? I said, we've got some new merch on the way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have my face out there with like Beastie on the back. I'll put some horns up on my head.
Oh, hell yeah.
We've got all sorts of stuff we can do with this, man. I like it.
Yeah.
So Liz, shout out to Liz because she gave me a new nickname.
There we
and
go.
It's now Beastie. Like, you can't call me BC anymore.
Okay.
It's definitely Beastie.
Beastie it is. So your job over here for the weekend is to make that Beastie merch and like we'll get it out while that sunset discount is still active, so people can get some Beast merch. So,
but Liz says she has to get she's expecting her check in the mail. She thinks she's a new partner now because she came up with the nickname.
Okay, well,
I told her I'd give her $5 next time I was in town.
Yeah, well, hey, if you become a member, we will get a check out to you as soon as we can. So become a member over here at youtube.com/manhour. But guys, tonight's show is brought to you or is powered by Belly Up Sports and 3133 The Flash. So be sure to head up to bellysports.com and check out the hundreds of podcasts and blogs over there that they have daily. We are super glad to be a part of the Belly Up Sports family, and of course 313theflash.com, you know, because like we have big things happening over there as well as they are up and coming and growing each and every day. But Combs, last night I broke down the NFC East and I didn't get time to get to the AFC West, so that is exactly where we got to start tonight.
Well, who did you pick in the NFC East? I didn't get a chance to listen to the show yet from last night, but who did you pick?
Who do you think? The future Super Bowl champions, the Dallas Cowboys, of course.
Okay.
Come on, man.
All right. So you didn't have the Washington not Redskins anymore going 13-4.
That is
crazy,
all
like
Mr. Manhour _ Tory. That is Tory Anderson 100%. He had them going 13-4. I had them going 5-12. So
Yeah, I'm with you. I have Dallas going 12-5.
yeah.
I've got Washington way better than you do. I don't have them quite as good as Tory, but I have them at 10-7.
Yeah.
The Giants at 7-10, and the Eagles at 3-14. So
Yeah, so I as well has the Giants and the Eagles both at the same as you. I got the football team at 5-12, and then I got the Cowboys at 11-6. So you are a little bit higher on the Cowboys than I am, but only time will tell. As we will choose our first game of the year for the weekly Wheel of Death on the After Hours show tonight. We have to pick some Wheel of Death things and get them on the wheel so we can do those live on air moving forward. So let's start with the AFC East, and let's start with possibly the worst team in the East, and that is going to be the New York Jets, Combs. So give me a game or a couple games that you have circled that could maybe make or break their season.
So the Jets are interesting to me because I've been outspoken saying that the Jets are changing their culture.
Yeah.
You've got Robert Saleh who's taken over there. I'm a big fan of what Robert Saleh is doing. I think Zach Wilson was the best quarterback in this draft class. I think he's going to have the best career out of everybody. I just think he was the best talent out of this draft class. I think they're going to change that culture. I think they're going to change the ways, and I actually can't wait to watch this team this year. So I'm actually going to go, if you want me to circle games, I'm going to circle the first 3 weeks. How about that?
Yeah.
I'm going to circle the first 3 weeks against Carolina. They get a game against the Patriots in New York, and they get the Denver Broncos. And Liz, who we were just talking about, is a huge Denver Broncos fan. She's going to hate me for this. I'm probably going to get a text message. I've got the Jets going 3-0 to start the season.
Wow.
The Jets are going to go 3-0 to start the season. They're going to beat Carolina in Carolina. They're going to beat New England at home, and then they're going to beat Denver in Denver. And I don't have them being world beaters now. I don't have them going to the playoffs. I don't have them doing anything crazy. I've got them sitting at 7-10 this year. I got them starting out hot. Then they kind of come back down to earth because they do play a tough schedule in the middle of the season where they got to go to New England. They got to play the Bengals. They got to play the Colts. They got to play Buffalo twice. They play the Dolphins. Obviously, they play Philly and Tampa Bay again. So, look, I think that the Jets are turning face there. I really do. I think Saleh is really going to do a great job as their head coach. And I think with Zach Wilson at the helm, this team is going to win some games that they should not win, like that game in week 3 against Denver, probably like that game in week 2 against the New England Patriots. I really think that, those 2 games are games that they could lose, but they might pull it out. So I'm going to have them starting 3-0, finishing 7-10.
Yeah. So I'm kind of in the same boat as you, as a sense, like I think the tides are turning there in New York, but I don't think the record is going to reflect it. I also have the first 3 weeks circled. You have them going 3-0. I actually have them going 0-3 to start the season. Actually, if you look at the first 8 weeks of the season, I have them going 1-7, and like people are kind of questioning of like what's going on. And actually, if you fast forward to week 11, I actually had them going 1-10 in the first 11 weeks of the season. But then after that, I have them riding the ship and then going 500 for the rest of the season, and actually had them finishing 5-5, 5-12. But just like what you said there, Combs, their schedule is not really that easy because they do play arguably the best team in the AFC and the Buffalo Bills twice. They play the Patriots twice, which we don't know what to expect from the Patriots yet, but we will learn very, very soon. I believe by week 4 we'll see what kind of quarterback they have over there. And then they play a trap game in the Eagles, so that week 13 game, like I feel like that is going to kind of be a make or break point of their season. If they beat the Eagles, which I think they will rattle off 3 of their last 5, beating the Saints, beating the Jaguars, and also beating the Buccaneers week 17.
Yeah, you know what's funny too is I've been high on the Saints. Everybody knows I'm a big Jameis Winston guy. I think Jameis Winston is way better than a lot of people give him credit for. I think that people weigh too much in on those interceptions, and I've actually got the New Orleans Saints doing very well this year, which we'll talk about later. But I've got the Jets beating them in Week 14. That's one of the games where
Yeah.
the Jets should lose, but they find a way to pull it out at home. This team, I just like what they're doing here in New York. I like what the Jets are doing. This fan base has suffered through some really bad years, and so as a Bears fan, I can completely understand that, right? I know what it's like to suffer through some bad years. So I just think that I think the Jets are turning things around, and I'm really excited to see what they do in New York for sure.
So now looking forward, you have them going 7-10 on the season. What player on the roster has to have a standout season for that to happen?
Well, like I said, I'm very high on Zach Wilson, but to me, it's obvious that a rookie has to have a breakout season because it's his first season. He has no choice but to have a breakout season, right?
Right.
I mean, even if he has a bad season, it's technically his breakout season. So for me, I'm gonna go a little bit more, and I'm gonna go with a guy, Jamison Crowder. Jamison Crowder needs to have a big year. Jamison Crowder needs to have a 1,500 to 2,000 yard type receiving year for the New York Jets in order for them to get to where I think they can get. And he's going to be a key cog. And I know right now he's out. I believe, I'm not sure if he was injured or if it's COVID list. I know it's something on there, but I think that for the New York Jets, he is the key to Zach Wilson having a good year.
Yeah, I was going to go the wide receiver route as well, but I'm going to flip the script, and I'm going to go on the defensive side of the ball. I think their middle linebacker, C.J. Mosley, has to have a great season just because they are going to be facing some high-powered offenses. We're talking about the Saints and the Bucks and the Bills, If you have a great middle linebacker and he can be in coverage and stop the run, you are going to win a lot of football games. So for me, it is C.J. Mosley. So
yeah, and for a guy who he didn't play last year because of COVID, took the year off, and in 2019 he really had a down year. I think he only had I think he had less than 10 total tackles as a middle linebacker, which is not very good. So it would be a huge breakout year for him. He's about, I think this is his 8th or 9th year in the league.
Yep.
So for CJ Mosley to have a year like that would be definitely huge for the New York Jets.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. So moving on here, so we are going to stick in the East here in the AFC East, and we are going to be talking about the Buffalo Bills next. I mean, obviously, Josh Allen had a breakout season last year, and they had a pretty much a unexpected season, an unexpected run in many people's eyes. So Combs, what kind of games do you have circled for them in this 2021 NFL season?
The 3 games that I'm going to circle for these guys are going to be the game against the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 5, the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 14, and then against New England in Week 16. And the reason why I'm circling these 3 games for them is because these are the only 3 games I have them losing. If they can find a way to win 1 or 2 of these games, it's going to be a special year for Buffalo. I already think it's going to be a special year for Buffalo. Even if they do finish 14-3, they're going to go deep, make a deep playoff run. I can't say enough about the Buffalo Bills. The defense is good. They're fast. You look at, obviously, their offense with Stephon Diggs. We love Josh Allen and the things that he can do. Their running situation, I mean, they've got 2 really solid running backs in Buffalo. I really like what they're doing. This team is going to be filthy this year. The only 3 games I have them losing, they're all on the road. Buffalo's a tough place to go in and win, even when they're bad, but let alone when they're really, really good.
Yeah. This
is going to be a really good year for Buffalo. And Bills fans, man, you guys, you're going to show up. You're going to start slamming people through tables. Dude, those are some of the best YouTube videos.
They are.
I mean, I remember watching one guy on the top of his truck dropping an elbow through his girlfriend as she laid on one of the tables. It was
full of ketchup and mustard.
Savage. Yeah. Oh yeah, they were savages.
Yeah.
But Buffalo Bills fans are nuts. They love their team, and they're gonna have a really good season. 14-3 for the Buffalo Bills.
Wow. So that kind of sounds like one of the best records in the NFL, and I know Torrey Anderson is right there with you with the Buffalo Bills as well. I believe he had going 13-4, but I kind of got to throttle it back a little bit here on the Buffalo Bills. But the two games that I have circled here is Week 6 when they go to Nashville and they take on the Tennessee Titans, and then Week 11 when the Indianapolis Colts come in to town. Why do I want to see them play the Titans Week 6? Not because I think the Titans will make a deep playoff run or Super Bowl run, but they have a playoff type offense. Run the ball down your throat and nickel and dime you down on the field, much like what they'll see against the Indianapolis Colts. And I think the Indianapolis Colts is a Super Bowl bound team, or it's a Super Bowl caliber team. So that is why I have those two games circled, and I actually have them losing both of those games. So I don't think their defense is equipped to basically face that power running game that they will be facing in the playoffs and in those two games. So with that being said, I actually had them going 10-7 this season, so definitely taking a few steps back. So not because they are a bad team, but because they do have a difficult schedule. They do play the Titans, which is a good team. They do play the Chiefs, which is a great team, and then they play the Saints, the Patriots and the Colts.
I would argue with you that they are better than every team on their schedule.
Really?
I absolutely 110%. I think that they could be a better team than everybody on their schedule, including the Chiefs and including the Buccaneers. This Buffalo Bills team is really, really good. And 10-7, if they're 10-7, I'm telling you right now, heads are going to roll in Buffalo. There's going to be some changes in the offseason.
So there is always that old saying, when the hunters become the hunted, your game mentality changes, just because you are going to get everybody's best shot week after week after week. Last year they didn't have that. They had those few games where teams come up and say these are guys, we're going to knock them down, but 9 times out of 10 teams did not play their best games against the Buffalo Bills. This year the Buffalo Bills will get every team's best shot, and that's why I had
when you look at their division, they're better than everybody in their division. They're the best team in the AFC East.
Yes.
Okay, so then you look outside of their division. They play the Pittsburgh Steelers, which they're better than, but things happen week 1 in the NFL. Crazy things happen. So Pittsburgh could absolutely come away and win that game. I'm not as high on the Pittsburgh Steelers as we found out earlier in the week. I only have them going 5-12 this year. They're better than the Washington football team, not Redskins anymore. They are better than the Houston Texans, obviously. They're definitely better than the Tennessee Titans. They're better than the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are better than the New York Jets.
Yes.
They're better than the New Orleans Saints. They're better than Carolina. They're better than Atlanta. And these are all regular season games outside of their division.
Right.
I just don't see where you only see 10 wins.
I would even put them better as the Kansas City Chiefs. But like I was saying, every week they are going to get the team's best shot week in and week out, and sometimes that wears on the psyche as a team, and especially what they were 12-5 last year, if I'm not mistaken. So I actually have them going 5-1 in the division, with the lone loss coming to the Patriots week 16 when they travel to Foxborough. But here is on the bright side of the Bills fans. So if you are a Bills fan, listen to me here. Week 13 and on, I had you guys going 4-2, winning the last 2 weeks of the season, and that will definitely get you rolling into the playoffs. I mean, the regular season doesn't matter as much. As long as you are peaking at the right time in the playoffs and you're healthy. So with that, with all that being said, Combs, who is a player for the Buffalo Bills that you are circling that has to have a great season?
I mean, you can go with a lot of players on this Bills roster. I try not to go with the obvious answer. I mean, the obvious answer would probably be for the Buffalo Bills. It's got to be Stephon Diggs. He's got to have a great season, got to have a breakout year. Same thing with Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders. All these guys have to click together. For me, I'm going to go with Dawson Knox. I think Dawson Knox needs to have a big year. The tight end there, he needs to find a way to get better at pass protecting while also getting better at route running. And that's going to be huge for him. But I watched him in the preseason. I liked what I saw from him in the preseason. I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to have a huge year. Look for Dawson Knox to be mentioned with names like Travis Kelce and Rob Gronkowski this year.
Okay, that's a very bold statement, and I like it 100%. I'm going on the offensive side of the ball as well, but I am going as a backup guy, and Tori spoke about this guy earlier in the season with a fantasy pick. So I'm going to go with Zach Moss because the Buffalo Bills they do a running back by committee, and Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. I think they both have to have pretty good seasons for them to make a Super Bowl run, but I am giving it more on Zach Moss's side just because he is that lightning to the thunder. Devin Singletary will obviously probably get the bulk of the carries, so when Zach Moss gets the ball, he has to make a great solid run every time.
The best part about those guys is that if one of them needs a breather or if one of them, hurts themselves or needs a week off, they've got Matt Breida.
Yeah.
Matt Breida, who is a quality starting type running back in this league, is a third string running back for the Buffalo Bills. They are deep and they are poised to make a deep run as well. So I really like this Buffalo Bills team. I just can't wait for football, man. Less than 24 hours now.
24 hours away. Yeah, I am very, very excited. So let's go ahead and jump into the comments here before we wrap up the final two teams in the East here. Drew says this is toward the Buffalo Bills. He says that the Buffalo Bills do not have the hunted mentality. They still think they have something to prove. Do you agree with that, Combs?
I do. And here's why. It's not just that the Buffalo Bills have something to prove as a team this year because they feel like they should have went further than what they did last year. I think the Buffalo Bills have something to prove as an organization. They're a team that has gone to the Super Bowl 4 times and they're 0-4.
Yeah.
And that was 4 times in a row back in the 90s. They don't want to make that a 5th time. They want to go and they want to win. I liken the Bills to the Cubs back in 2016, right? A team that hadn't won it so long, always had the stigma of lovable losers. That's what the Buffalo Bills are right now, and they're trying to shake that stigma. This could be the year they do that. It really could.
Yeah, and he also says one other thing. He says in nice big bold letters that Josh Allen is the key for their success this season. As I agree with that, but I kind of think that was the obvious answer, so we kind of steer away from the obvious answers.
And the same thing. I mean, it's just like any team. I don't think that there's a team out there. There might be one or two that will have the same type of season if their starting quarterback goes down or has a bad year.
Ravens.
But not very many of them. The Ravens are not one of them.
Yes,
Stop yourself. Stop it.
All right. All right. So moving on here, and we are going to go to the New England Patriots next. Obviously, they cut ties with Cam Newton, their starting quarterback from last year. So they will be starting a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones. We don't know what to expect from him whatsoever. So, Combs, with that being said, when you're starting a rookie quarterback, there are definitely some key points of the season here. What is a key point for Mac Jones and the New England Patriots in 2021?
Man. So with Mac Jones coming in and being the starter, there's going to be a lot of growing pains, but there's also going to be a lot of good. You're going to see, I'm not going to come out here and toot the Patriots fans' horns like they want me to, like they've been tooting ever since they got rid of Cam Newton and have decided that Mac Jones is their starter. There's going to be a lot of growing pains. The one game that I look to them where they can say, you know what, we've got something here, we've got something in Mac Jones, is a game that I have them winning. And it is a game that is going to cause the Tampa Bay Buccaneers some pain. And that is going to be in week 4. The New England Patriots in New England, Tom Brady's return to New England, Bill Belichick finds a way, and Mac Jones and Patriots fans, I'm telling you right now, like we say it all the time, and sometimes we're live, raw, and uncut, and we say some things we shouldn't say. Patriots fans' pants are going to get a lot tighter after that game because they're going to see Mac Jones outperform Tom Brady, and they're going to win that game. And that's going to be the turning point for Mac Jones. That's going to be the turning point for the New England Patriots, who I believe will be 1-2 going into that game. And I have them finishing at the season at 9-8. It's better than what I would have had them at with Cam Newton. It's 3 games better than I would have had them at with Cam Newton. But that's where I have them. I just think Mac Jones is a good quarterback. I think he is the real deal. I think he's going to have a great career in New England. I just, and as much as I don't bet against Tom Brady, but I think part of the reason they're going to be 1-2 heading into this game is that Bill Belichick is already coaching and getting ready for week 4.
Yeah, I mean, like I coached my former team last week, and I knew them inside and out. I put my players in the right position to win over and over and over. And obviously, Bill Belichick was with Tom Brady for 17 years. He knows Tom Brady inside and out. He will put his players in the best positions to win. Now, will they execute? Only time will tell. So, if you want to flash forward to that week 4 game, I actually had the Bucs beating the Patriots that game. So I had the week 6 matchup. The Dallas Cowboys come to Foxborough and they play, and this is where the 2 inches become 4 inches in the pants for the New England Patriots. They almost kind of flexed on the Dallas Cowboys a tad bit. They will shut down Zeke. They will shut down like Dak, and we will see Mac Jones being Tom Brady-esque in that game. I'm talking, he is only going to be holding the ball for 1.7 seconds every time he goes back and throws the ball. And then that is kind of the turning point that I have for the Patriots, just because I do have them starting off 1-5 going into that week six games, and then I have them rattling off some wins, 2, 3, 4 games in in a row, ultimately finishing 8-9 just out of the playoff same. So we are right there on the same. So Combs, give me a player to watch for the Patriots.
I'm just gonna go with the obvious one here. It's Mac Jones.
Yeah,
and if it's not Mac Jones, then it's the entire defense, because the entire defense is coming back rested and ready to go. They have the ability to be a top 5 defense in this league. I think they'll probably finish just outside of that. But this Mac Jones needs to be what the New England Patriots want him to be. And like I said, for when it comes to week 4, when Tom Brady comes down, and that's Sunday Night Football. Funny things happen to Tom Brady on Sunday Night Football. Just ask, Tom Brady about what down it is in Chicago on Sunday Night Football. Yeah, exactly. So I'm just telling you that game right there is going to be the turning point. They're going to be 1-2 at that point. They've got some tough games, ahead of that as well. And so I think that the New England Patriots are just headed for a good season.
Yeah, so I will take your Mac Jones and I will trump him with the tight end duo that they picked up in this offseason and spent a lot of money for, and that is Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. The reason why they picked them up is to nickel and dime teams down the field, because we are going to see Mac Jones hanging onto the ball for 1.7 seconds beyond week 5 and on. And so all you fantasy heads out there, these are the tight ends that you want to get. You want to get Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, because I think they will be the keys to the success for the New England Patriots this season. So Combs, we do have some more comments rolling in here, so let's go ahead and answer these before we get into the last team here in the AFC East, and that is the Miami Dolphins here. Drew asked, do you think Pats fans will cheer or boo Tom Brady come week 4?
If they boo them, they're stupid, and they're even dumber than I thought, because I already don't like Patriots fans. If they boo Tom Brady, I will lose every ounce of respect. Let me change that. If they boo Tom Brady pre-game, I've lost all respect for him. They boo him during the game, that's one thing, because at that point, it's like a UFC fight, right?
Right.
When you respect your opponent, you go out, you tap gloves, you shake hands, you have a good press conference and all that. Then as soon as the bell rings, it's time to knock each other's heads off.
Exactly.
So I'm okay with booing him during the game, but before the game, if he doesn't get a standing ovation, I lose all respect for Patriots fans.
Yeah, and that is the ultimate mind. That's the ultimate mind fuck. There is definitely cheer Tom Brady before the game, make him cry a little bit, get emotional, and then you jump out early on him, 10-0, 14-0. I mean, that's a win right there. So definitely cheer him 100%. Get him emotional 100%. And then Javier, what's up, Javier? He says the New England Patriots had the best offensive line in the NFL. I don't know about that. Like, I don't know.
Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah,
they might have something to say about that.
They picked up Eric Fisher and the dude from the Vanilla Wafer, whatever his name is. No, he went to the Ravens.
Vanilla Wafer. But yeah, no, I would disagree that they have the best offensive line. They've got a top offensive line in the game, though. They really do. They're not the best. I would argue I could probably give you 3 or 4 offensive lines before I get to New England's.
Yeah. Colts, Dallas Cowboys, Houston Texans. All right, guys. So moving on to the final team here in the AFC East, we do have the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, Miami Dolphins benched a successful quarterback midway through the season to put in a rookie to miss the playoffs. So this year 2 underneath Tua, hopefully they're playoff bound. They're trying to reach for that playoffs. So Combs, in their quest for the playoffs here in 2021, what are some games that you have circled that kind of must watch TV?
So I'm going to look at a game week 4 against Indianapolis. I'm also going to look at a game in week 10 against Baltimore. And then a third game, which is going to be week 17 against Tennessee, which I think is going to determine whether or not the Miami Dolphins make the playoffs. I just think that Miami up against Indy, I think, is a great test for them. I think it's a close game. I think that gives them the confidence that they need to, go through the season the way I think they're going to go through it, even though I have them losing that game in a close one. Same thing with Baltimore. It's another tightly contested game against a top quarterback in this league. And it's another tightly contested game that they end up losing. And then we get to week 17 against the Tennessee Titans, who are running neck and neck with Miami for a wild card spot. And it's in Tennessee. And this is where I have Miami coming over the hump. I've got Miami beating Tennessee and finishing the season at 10-7. And they will be a wild card team this year.
So you have them going 10-7 as a wild card team. I am right there with you on them, but I am not sold on Tua. Right now, I do have the Miami Dolphins going 9-8, and I believe, let me check my stats just to make sure, they do make it in as a wild card as the 8 seed. So they do sneak in there. So a few games that I have circled that could make or break their season, either let them in the playoffs or let them out of the playoffs. And that is that week 7 game. That is kind of a trap game because many people think that Atlanta Falcons won't be good this year. However, Atlanta Falcons are coming off of a bye. They're traveling to Miami. Yes, Miami is a very hard place to play with the heat and the humidity and all the other activities that happen in Miami Beach. Javier, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, but that is a trap game for them. And as of right now, I have Miami Dolphins beating the Atlanta Falcons week 7, but I could definitely come out and see the Falcons putting up some points against the Dolphins that particular week. And if they lose that game, that will knock them out of the playoff, because that will put them at 8-9. And you definitely have to have a winning record in the AFC to make the playoffs this season.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way they lose to Atlanta. Atlanta's going to be historically bad this year. I don't think there's any way they lose to them. I've got Miami going on a run in the second half of their schedule starting week 11, because their schedule gets a little soft, where they've got the Jets, they've got Carolina, they've got the Giants, and then the Jets again. Then they've got a couple of tough games against New Orleans and Tennessee, but I think that they win both of those games
On the road. Okay.
And on the road. I think that, those 4 weeks prior gives them the confidence they need. They got the bye week 14. So I just think that they're going to be rolling, and they're going to be smelling the playoffs, and they're going to find a way to get it done. And I know you said you had them as the 8 seed. Are they letting 8 teams into the playoffs again in the NFL, or is it just the 7?
Oh, you know what? You are correct. They are down to 7. Oh, sorry. So they are on the outside looking in. You are 100% correct. I'm sorry about that. Yep.
Yeah. So the one seed gets a bye, and then 2 plays 7. Which is for me, it's an even tougher draw for Miami, because then they end up having to go up against a division rival in the first round of the playoffs, which is no bueno for the Miami Dolphins.
So Combs, give me a player to watch for Miami this year.
It's got to be. It's another one. It's got to be Tua. It's got to be Tua. Tua has to perform. There is nobody sitting behind him. They didn't go out and trade for Deshaun Watson
yet.
Yeah, that's true. But Tua has got to perform for this team to have any sort of a shot this year. If Tua is anything like he was last year, where Ryan Fitzpatrick was needed to come save the day, the Miami Dolphins are in a ton of trouble. And my 10-7 prediction is going to look silly if that happens.
Yeah, so I am with you on the quarterback position, because I think it is not Tua, but I think it is Jacoby Brissett, because I think Jacoby Brissett comes in week 6 and bails out the Miami Dolphins, because I do have them starting the season 0-5 with losses to the Patriots, Bills, Raiders, Colts, and the Bucks. And then week 6 is when Jacoby Brissett will come in versus a bad Jacksonville team and kind of right the ship and win 5 of the next 6 games for them. So
you're like NFL GMs. I always tell NFL GMs, you got to stay away from Patriots coaches that are under Bill Belichick, because when they leave, they're crap. It's the same thing with their quarterbacks. There's been one good quarterback underneath Tom Brady that has gone and been successful, and that's been freaking Jimmy G. And that's only because Jimmy G was never allowed to play. Jacoby Brissett had a stretch of some really good games with New England when Tom Brady was suspended. Yep. Boom, gets a contract. Boom, nobody ever wants to play for them again. So look, there's a reason why Jacoby Brissett has been a backup everywhere he's gone since New England.
He was a starter for 2 years.
Even when he was a starter in Indy, he was always looking over his shoulder, because they were looking for the next best thing. That's why they didn't stick with Jacoby Brissett. That's why they ended up going out and getting Carson Wentz. That's why that they did the things that because look, it's just like we talk about it all the time. It's Teddy Bridgewater, a guy like that who we think we look at him, we're like, wow, he's really got some talent. NFL teams are like, we'll take the next guy.
Well, I think there's something more with Teddy Bridgewater, but just because the more we talk about it, the more I read into it, and the more I find out that it is definitely between the ears with Teddy Bridgewater. It is not his talent. But we can get into that in Shop Talk here with which guys, Shop Talk is about an hour away here on Man Hour. We are going to take our first break of the night, and after the break, guys, we are going to be breaking down the NFC South. That is with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Saints, and the Panthers. So, guys, stick tuned. We'll be right back here on the Man Hour after this short little break. welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buck Kaiser and Brandon BC Combs and I should say Beastly Combs because that is his new name here on the Man Hour. You can find us on the old Twitter machine at Man Hour Buck and, of course, at Man Hour _ Combs on the Twitter machine. Man Hour is now on TikTok, guys, so search for Man Hour Sports Talk on the old Tickety Talk there as we do upload clips, little clips of each and every show there. So this segment of Man Hour is brought to you by Thrive Fantasy. Head over to thrivefantasy.com and use promo code MANHOUR, and they'll match up to $50 on your first deposit. And when you use promo code MANHOUR this week and this week only, you will get entered into their $100,000 giveaway for free when you pick the over-under picks of Week 1 NFL season. That's thrivefantasy.com, promo code MANHOUR. You can also download that on Android and iOS devices. All restrictions apply. You must be 18 years or older to play. Got to add that little plug in there. And guess what, Combs? You can no longer play Thrive Fantasy in Indiana. So I got to go across the river to gamble on our site now. So that yeah, didn't we try that last year? And it said it was blocked first. I don't know. It was weird. There we go. So basically, it's a win-win for you, lose-lose for me. Got it.
I win, tails, you lose.
So speaking of a win-win or a lose-lose, we have to give a shout-out there to Big Luke G Field Review. He says, "What up, though, fellas?" Luke G.
What's up, Luke?
We need to have Luke G on because week number 2. I will be at the Green Bay Packer game rooting on the Detroit Lions in a Packers jersey. So I might have to have Luke G fill my spot and talk the Lions shit for me all show. So, but that's in 2 weeks, 9/20. So 12 days away, I will be, Luke G comes out and says Lions sweeping the Bears. True.
Luke G, who's closer in their prediction? I have the Lions in 2-15. Buck has them at 10-7. Who's closer in their prediction?
No, I changed that. 11-6 now, sir.
11-6. All right, so be honest. Don't be a Lions fan and be honest.
I think he had him at 9 wins the last time I think I was on the show.
He's a Lions fan. I bet he couldn't even name 3 Lions wide receivers like you couldn't the other night.
Yeah, that was pretty embarrassing, wasn't it? I'm not even going to front on that one. So speaking of embarrassing, the Carolina Panthers kind of had a embarrassing season last season. Yes, they were in competitive in like a lot of games, but they fell on the short end of the stick a lot of times last year. Hopefully 2021 is better for them as they did get a new quarterback in Sam Darnold. Christian McCaffrey is healthy supposedly now, and they added another year with a new head coach as well. So Brandon Beastly Combs, Beastie, get that Beastie merch ASAP. What games you got circled for the Panthers?
So the Panthers are an interesting one for me. Because I'm a big believer in Sam Darnold. I really, really am. I'm just not a big believer in the Carolina Panthers as a team. So one of the games that I have circled that could be a game changer for them would be week 2 versus the Saints at home. Also, it could be I'm trying to look here. Week 11 against Washington could be another one. Look, I don't have them faring very well this year. I've got the Carolina Panthers at 4-13. And it could go where the Carolina Panthers rattle off 8 or 9 wins this year because Sam Darnold is better than a lot of people think. He's not the Sam Darnold with the New York Jets. That New York Jets coaching staff was atrocious. That organization was atrocious. Everything about the New York Jets was atrocious. I always thought Sam Darnold got a raw deal there. Sam Darnold is better than what he played in New York. It's better than what the numbers would tell you. This team, man, look, even with the healthy Christian McCaffrey, this offensive line is suspect at best. The defense is meh. You know, that's why I have them so low, because I think they're going to have to score 30 points a game in order to be able to compete in a lot of these games that they have. They've got a tough schedule. And so, you know, if they can beat if they can win some of these divisional games, I have them at 2-4 in the division. If they could turn that around and be 4-2 in the division, that would bump them up to 6 wins. If they could win some of these games they're not supposed to win, like against Minnesota, if they can beat the New York Giants, which is very possible, if they could find a way to beat the New England Patriots, which is possible, that could completely turn around their schedule. I'm just not so sure it's possible.
Yeah, so on the flip side of the coin, I actually have them going 2-4 in the division as well. However, if they go 4-2 in the division, Combs, I could see them as a 11-12 win team, just because at that point they have either beaten the Bucks twice, they've beaten the Saints twice, or one apiece, and they probably swept who else is yeah, and they also probably swept the Falcons. So clearly they are beating some high-powered teams in the Bucks and or the Saints, either twice or once a piece. And so if that were to happen, they are probably a playoff-bound team. But I actually have them going 2-4 in the division, and I have them going 6-11 on the season. The game that I have circled for them is that Week 3 game when they travel to Houston to take on the Houston Texans. At this point, I feel like either Deshaun Watson is going to be traded and the Houston Texans will be in complete rebuild mode, or Deshaun Watson will be on the field. There is absolutely no reason why you were going to sit $100 million quarterback on the bench all season just because of whatever issues, just because of your ego per se. So I believe Week 3 Deshaun Watson will be activated on the Houston roster, and they will actually fall to the Houston Texans that week, giving the Texans one of their many wins coming up, as we will break down the rest of the AFC South moving forward. The AFC South moving forward here. But that Week 3 is such a big matchup in my eyes, just because I think that will truly expose the Carolina defense moving forward, and exactly what, like you said, they will have to score 30+ points a game to compete with the Vikings and the Giants and the Falcons, even, and in the Cards. They don't have an easy schedule, and they do play the best division in the NFC East. All 3 of those opponents, or all 4 of those opponents. So,
yeah.
With that being said, what player for the Carolina Panthers has to have a standout year?
It's going to be 3 teams in a row now. It's the quarterback. It's got to be Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's got to shell out. Sam Darnold cannot leave this team high and dry and put it in the hands of PJ Walker. Sam Darnold has to have a good year. Christian McCaffrey has to stay healthy. They did go out and beef up. They did add to the depth with Royce Freeman, which I thought was a good pickup for them. So they do have depth at running back. But, Sam Darnold is the key to that team.
Yeah, and I have to go on the offensive side as well, and I got to go receiver side, and I think Robbie Anderson has to have a big season. We kind of seen him start to emerge last year, like a tad bit, and having a connection with Teddy Bridgewater, and obviously Teddy is gone now, so he has to develop that chemistry with Sam Darnold quick. But I think Robbie Anderson could easily probably be a top 10, top 15 receiver in all of NFL this season, with averaging about 10 to 12 catches per game, 100 plus yards every game.
Yeah, this team, for Sam Darnold, I say Sam Darnold needs to play well, but I've only got them at 4 wins.
Yeah.
So that's that says something about this team. It says something about where they're at. I just, and I see Luke G here with, oh my God, he's got the Panthers with more wins than the Lions. Oh Lord, help. They're a better team than the Lions.
Oh,
I'm sorry. They just are.
Okay. You've been wrong before, Combs, but we will let that slide. So do you feel maybe in Carolina it's a culture thing? Just because we talked about the Jets earlier in the show, and we're talking about culture, do you think Matt Rule is changing the culture maybe a little bit in Carolina?
No, I don't. I think they're in a similar situation as Houston. I think their owner is really, really bad. And I mean, they let go of oh God, I'm gonna forget his name now. Big Ron, who's
Rivera?
now in Washington, Ron Rivera.
Yep.
Let go of Ron Rivera when they shouldn't have. They did Cam Newton dirty when they shouldn't have. They did some things that they're not going to get over. There's a reason why Luke Kuechly retired early. There's a reason why they can't keep players. It's a lot like the Detroit Lions have been. They're making people retire early now, like the Detroit Lions have done. So I don't like what I'm seeing from the organization, from the front office. I don't think that this team is going to be good anytime soon, which is really unfortunate for Sam Darnold, because he went from one crappy organization that I think is about to turn it around, and now he's with another crappy organization that I don't think is going to turn it around anytime soon.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to the next team here in the NFC South is we do have the New Orleans Saints. Obviously, the Saints no longer have Drew Brees. They have Winston starting for them now, which he is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL per Beastie Combs like over there. So Combs, give me a couple games to watch out for.
How about every game until the bye week? Because they're going to start this season 5-0. They're going to beat Green Bay. They're going to beat Carolina. They're going to beat New Orleans. They're going to beat the Giants, and they're going to beat Washington. They're going to start the season 5-0. Jameis Winston is about to put people on notice. This team, we just talked about, the Jets have to score 30 points a game in order to compete. This team is going to average 30-plus points a game with Jameis Winston at the helm. Jameis Winston is going to be in MVP talks this year. And I know I've said it, but this is where you've heard it. When you hear this later on in the year and people are talking about Jameis, who said Jameis Winston? I said it. Jameis Winston is going to be a top 10 quarterback in this league. He's going to be a top 5 quarterback in this league. He's already a top 10 quarterback in this league. Jameis Winston is going to do good things in New Orleans. This team is going to finish the season 12-5.
Oh, 12-5. So I am right there on board with you 100%. I have them finishing 12-5 as well, but the big key factor here is 3-3 in the division. So I have the last basically 3/8 of the season circled there because I had them starting 12-1 starting the season going into week 14, and this is going to be Pittsburgh Steelers from 2020. They are going to hit week 14, and they're going to go down, 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 down. I have them losing to the Jets. I have them losing to the Bucks. I have them losing to the Panthers. And I have them losing to the Falcons as well. As of right now, they are sitting at number 7 as that last wild card seed in the playoffs, and I have them playing the Bucks, actually. So that's a little spoiler alert moving forward. But they're going to start 12-1. And then they are going to be a first-round exit, just like the Pittsburgh Steelers were last season. So the key game to me is the Week 17 game when Carolina comes into New Orleans. If the Saints can beat New Orleans, which I don't have them doing, I have Carolina coming in.
New Orleans.
What? Yeah. Well,
you said if the Saints could beat New Orleans.
No, I'm sorry. If the Saints can beat the Panthers, which I don't have them beating them, but if they can beat them week 17, that will put them first in the division and probably a first overall seed as well. And we're looking at a totally different story of the NFL season for them. But as of right now, 12-1 to start the season and losing the 4 of their last 5.
See, I'm with you sort of. I've got them at 5-1 in the division, not 3-3. I've got them going 11-2 in the first 13 weeks of the season, or first 12 weeks of this 13 weeks of the season. Sorry. And
who are your losses? In that first?
Buffalo and Seattle.
Okay.
And the only reason they lose to Seattle is because it's on the road, and that's their first loss after the bye week. And I just think Jameis Winston eats too many crab legs on the bye week. So then they lose to Buffalo because Buffalo is just a better team. Then I think they beat Dallas week 13. But then I have them losing to the Jets, and I've got them losing to Tampa Bay, and I've got them losing to Miami, having a little hiccup. And it's funny that you say the Saints beat New Orleans because that's the only way they lose to the Carolina Panthers is if they beat themselves.
Right.
That's the only way they lose to Carolina. I think they beat Carolina. I think they beat the Falcons, and I think that they finished the season at 12-5.
Yeah, so we are right there on pace with each other. So who is a player that you are going to watch for this year?
I know everybody's expecting me to say Jameis Winston. Everybody wants me to say Jameis Winston. I love me some Jameis Winston, but I'm not. I just don't like taking the easy way out. So Jameis Winston is obvious. Jameis Winston has to perform for this team to be anywhere close to the 12-5 that I have them at. My player to watch this year is going to be Marquez Callaway. Michael Thomas, you don't know what's going on with the injury. Plus, there's talks that he wants out of New Orleans. Marquez Callaway is the only wide receiver right now that they can trust. He's going to get a lot of targets. He's going to have a lot of yards. He's going to have a lot of receptions. Marquez Callaway is the player to watch for the New Orleans Saints this year.
Yeah, and I'm going to stick on the offensive side as well. I'm not going to go Winston. I'm not going to go receiver. I'm going to go running back, and I think Alvin Kamara has to basically has to be consistent like he has been. Just because one of the biggest knocks with Jameis is that he likes to force the ball down the field and therefore get the 30 interceptions. And I think Sean Payton is really going to dial him back because I don't think Michael Thomas is going to be in a Saints uniform come week 2 or week 3. He will either be on, quote, IR or he will be out of town just because there's a lot of dysfunctioning happening there. So we are going to be looking at a lot of checkdowns to Alvin Kamara, and he is going to get a lot of yak yards. He is going to get a lot of carries. He is going to look like Christian McCaffrey a couple years ago when he had like 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. I could see Alvin Kamara very easily getting that this season.
And that's why. Okay, so people ask me, why do you think that Jameis Winston's going to be successful this year with this offense? Your key player is the reason why I think he's going to be so successful.
Yes.
I think he's got the talent to be successful. Anywhere he goes, I think Jameis Winston has the talent to be successful. I think he has the most ability to be successful because of Alvin Kamara, because of the way Alvin Kamara is going to be able to allow this offense to open up. You have to worry about Alvin Kamara running out of the backfield and breaking a 100-yard run. You have to worry about him out of the backfield catching a screen pass. Then while you're worrying about him, you've got Marquez Callaway. You've got, if he comes back, Michael Thomas to worry about. You've got a lot of weapons to worry about on this New Orleans Saints offense. And not to mention, if you sleep on him, Jameis Winston could take off and still run. Jameis Winston has wheels too. So this team has a lot of dynamic pieces to it. And I think that I'm just telling you, man, watch out.
Also, on the flip side of that thing, many people don't realize that Bruce Arians wasn't a very good head coach when Winston was at Tampa Bay. I believe Byron Leftwich, like is his name, that was his first year as an offensive coordinator as well. So many people don't understand, like, you grow as a coach much like you grow like a player, and Sean Payton is in Winston's ear now. So that will obviously help the progression. That will help the growth. And he got to spend a year underneath arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in Drew Brees. So with all that being said, we do have to talk about the greatest quarterback in the NFL, and that's Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl last year. Many people are saying 17-0 is a very realistic expectation for them this year. But Combs, give me a couple games to watch for and their record.
Yeah, so look, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be as advertised. They're going to be a very good team. I look to 2 early season games for them that are going to be fun to watch. The game week 3 against the Los Angeles Rams, that defense in LA, I think that the Rams can get in and beat Tampa Bay. That's the biggest way to beat Tampa Bay is to take Tom Brady out of the equation, and the Rams have the capabilities of doing that. And then week 4 against New England, Tom Brady's return to New England, which I've already told you guys, watch out for New England to win that game. I really feel like Tampa Bay is that team, and I think Tampa Bay is going to go 13-4 this year. I have them at 13-4. but those 2 weeks are really going to eat at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that's what's going to cause Tom Brady to just absolutely go off in the second half of the season. I'm talking about, like, they don't lose after week 10. I don't have them losing after week 10, and they might not even lose week 10. I have them with the hiccup against Washington in Washington winning a close game because of that defense. That's another defense like the Rams that can get to Tom and take him out of the game. So I don't have them losing another game after that, though.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in the same boat as you. After week 11, I do only have them losing one game, and that's the kind of the game that I have circled is that week 12 game when they travel to Indy and they play the Colts. I believe this could possibly be a Super Bowl preview here is the Bucs and the Colts, and I think Tom Brady will learn from Bill Belichick, keep the cards close to his vest, and they're just going to play a vanilla offense, vanilla defense, because let's just be honest, Tom Brady runs that team week in and week out. So I do have that week 12 matchup circled just to see what kind of team we are going to see from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Also, I have week 1 circled. I will not give you who wins that game yet, as we will be picking that game here in roughly 15 to 20 minutes here on the Man Hour. But I also have that week 7 game matchup, Combs. That is when your Chicago Bears travel down to Tampa Bay. I feel like last year, after the Bears beat the Bucs, that was kind of the turning point of the Bucs season, right? And yeah. I think that's what's going to happen again this year. Week 7, I think the Bears go down to Tampa, smack the Bucs in the face, and that wakes them up, and they go on their go on their tear. So I actually have the Bucs finishing the season 12-5. Losing to the Colts, the Bears, the Rams, the Saints, Washington, and one other surprise team that I will get to later.
Yeah. And if you don't know who the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are, just watch primetime football this year, because they are on 10 out of the 18 weeks. They are on a primetime game,
which is ridiculous.
It's insane.
Give me some more Chiefs. Give me some more Chiefs.
It's insane.
So
you're in Indiana. You don't get to watch the Chiefs. They black those games out.
I get to watch the freaking Bengals.
What was it last year? Didn't they put like a wedding or something on instead?
It was a freaking funeral, man. It was a funeral. They put the funeral on because it was the Chiefs Charger game. It was the Sunday night, or it's a Sunday afternoon game on CBS. Everybody else had it except for Louisville area. We got to freaking watch a funeral. Come on, dude. I was pissed. But anyways, Combs, who was a player to watch for the Buccaneers this year?
God, there's so many, and I don't think any of them is really a breakout per se. But I'm gonna make Michelle pretty happy right now, because it's the Tampa Bay the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's Rob Gronkowski. Rob Gronkowski, I think, is going to have a really good season. It's his second year in the offense. It's his second year back with the guys. I think he's more comfortable. I think he's ready. I think he wants to. I think this is his last season, and I think he wants to go out having his best season of all, and I think that he will. I think Gronk is the guy to watch this year.
Yeah, we kind of spoke on this guy that I'm going to choose earlier this week, and that's playoff Leonard Fournette. I want to see if playoff Leonard Fournette can transfer into regular season Leonard Fournette as well, because I think that many people are going to respect the pass so much that the running game is going to be wide open for Leonard Fournette and like Rondo Jones and even Janarvi Bernard. But I think Leonard Fournette is kind of this X factor for this team this year, and I think the games that he does not get 100 yards on the ground are the games that that the Bucs will lose. So that's why he is my X factor, the player to watch, etc.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so moving on to the last team here in the NFC South are the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, they got rid of Julio Jones. They picked up Kyle Pitts. Arguably the one of the best players in the NFL draft last season. But Combs, they've been struggling the last couple years. Ever since they blew that Super Bowl league, I don't think they've had over six wins in the regular season.
Yeah.
Do they repeat that?
This is where people are going to be like, I don't know what Combs just said. Because Atlanta Falcons fans, Luke G, all you guys out there listening right now, I see you in the chat. Luke G, Drew, Soup Boss, Javier, listen to me right now. This team is going to set records. This team is going to be unbelievable. And they are going to be unbelievably bad. And they are going to set records. And they are going to be 0-17. This team is so bad. So bad. They did it. They decided to trade Julio Jones. They replaced him with some guy whose last name is like Zacchaeus or whatever the hell his name is. They've got Kyle Pitts and they've got Calvin Ridley, and that's it. They don't have anybody to throw him the ball because Matty Ice is trash. He's going to be running for his life because the offensive line is trash. The defense can't. You could be up 72-0 in the fourth quarter, and this defense will find a way to lose. This defense is horrible. The offensive line is horrible. The quarterback is no longer good. This team is going 0-17. I don't have any games circled. All of their games are going to be horrible. They are going to lose every single game they have. They don't have a game on their schedule where I look at them and be like, yeah, they're the better team in that game. Not one. Not even against the two games against the Carolina Panthers are they the better team. Not even the game against the Detroit Lions are they the better team. This is the worst team in football, and they are going 0-17, and they are setting records.
Wow, that is some bold words, some bold statements coming out of your mouth. Because obviously the Detroit Lions are one of the best teams in the NFC. So for you even to remotely compare them to that, but on the flip side of that coin, Combs, I do have a couple games circled on the Atlanta Falcons record. I do have them going 2-4 in the division, so I'm already 200% better with you than on the win percentage. But one of the games that I do have circled is that Week 10 matchup when they travel to Texas Stadium and they take on the Dallas Cowboys. We saw an historically bad collapse in the fourth quarter with the Atlanta Falcons last season and the whole onside kick aspect thing, and that's going to probably repeat itself because I do have the Cowboys winning that game, and any momentum that the Falcons may have had going into that Week 10 matchup, aka they were 2-8 going into that thing. I actually have them going 4-13 this season. Their only wins that I have them winning is I have them beating the Eagles Week 1 because I don't trust Tua at all. I think the Eagles will be the worst team in the NFL. I do have them beating the Washington football team, the Panthers, and then I have them in a late season victory over the Saints because the Saints won't be playing their starters that particular game. They'll probably be playing Blaine Gabbert at the quarterback.
Yeah, So what's your record?
4-13.
Yeah, I think that's just 4 games too many.
Yeah.
I mean, who are their wins?
I just told you. So it's over the Eagles, Washington football team, the Panthers, and the Saints. You all right there, big guy?
How is this offensive line going to stop the Washington football team's defense?
So every year, Combs, there is one game when an NFL football team forgets to show up, i.e. the Green Bay Packers every time they go to San Francisco. They forget to show up. Washington football team is going to forget to show up in Atlanta in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome that particular game, and it is going to be one of those ugly-ass games, Combs. I'm talking like it could be a 5-2 game. But the Falcons will come out.
That could be a way that the Falcons could find a way to win if it's 5-2. What's this gonna be the Braves versus the Nationals is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. The Falcons are they're bad. They may squeak out a win, and if they do that, it would be against a team like the Carolina Panthers or the Detroit Lions. They are not. They're not good. They're
You don't
not.
think?
No, dude, look, I'm telling you, the best teams in the league, the Washington football team, the Washington, not Redskins anymore, as I like to call them, are a good football team.
Right.
That team could go to sleep for the first 3 quarters and come back and beat the Atlanta Falcons by 70 points.
You are right about
is that good.
You are right about that, but you have to look at the really superior teams. I'm talking like the Bucks and the Saints and the Cowboys, right? I mean, those are teams that historically every year they forget to show up one game, and like I think, you were going to come cake walking into Atlanta, battered and bruised, and like, hey, this is just a cakewalk. Let's just get through this game.
If Tom Brady loses to the Atlanta Falcons, he'll retire right after the game.
Week 2.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Alrighty. So, guys, that is going to be it for our NFC South picks. So, just to recap, I have the Bucks and Saints going 12-4, the Panthers going 6-11, Falcons going 4-13. Combs, what is your record?
0-17, 0 wins. Worst team in NFL history.
What about the rest of the division?
Worse than the 0-16 Lions. That's all I got to say.
All right, guys. We are going to take a quick little break here on the Man Hour. We'll be right back after this. And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckheisler and Brandon Beastie Combs over here on the old Twitter machine. You can find us on manhour_Buck and, of course, manhour_Combs in the Twitter machine there. So, guys, we have talked about the AFC East and the NFC South, but it is time to talk Week 1 of the NFL. Opening night, we do have the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Super Bowl champions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, Combs, this has been hyping up since, March, when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers said, we're returning all 22 starters. We're going to go 17-0. We're going to flex on everybody, yada, yada, yada. Basically, we are the team. We are the mans. We are it. So, with that being said, Combs, how can the Dallas Cowboys compete with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and possibly beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tomorrow night?
Show up and come to play. That the Dallas Cowboys are a very talented team. I think that the Dallas Cowboys are going to compete and give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a run for their money. Crazy things happen in Week 1 of the NFL as well. Let's not forget that, especially on Thursday Night Football. Funny things always seem to happen on Thursday Night Football. But the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, they get to have Dak Prescott back. That defense was playing a lot better in the second half of last year. They're going to be much better than they were last year because they don't have to deal with Andy Dalton, because us sucky Bears fans have to deal with Andy Dalton. But the Dallas Cowboys are going to compete with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Dallas Cowboys are one of the best teams in the NFC, and they're going to play right with them. It's not even going to be a question of that. The question is going to come down to, in the last quarter, who wants it more.
Yeah, so when the question gets asked, like, how can the Dallas Cowboys compete with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I said this last night, and that is make Tom Brady throw the ball down the field. Tom Brady has to, be looking to push the ball 12 to 20 yards down the field every time he steps back and passes the ball. The Dallas Cowboys have to take away that short to intermediate passing game. When, like, as you guys flash back to the show here about 10 minutes ago, I said every game that Leonard Fournette does not get 100 yards, they're going to lose that game. And I don't think Leonard Fournette will get 100 yards in this opening week game. I think the short passing game will be taken away by the Dallas Cowboys. I think Micah Parsons is going to step up and take away the slant routes 100%. But so Tom Brady is going to try to force the ball down the field, and that is how you beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Make Tom Brady force interceptions down on the field. We saw it last year when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers went to Lambeau Field, and he had 3 interceptions in the first half. I do believe that's
exactly. Did they win that game? Just wondering.
No, but the Dallas Cowboys won't let them score right before halftime, right? Kevin King, where is Wyatt when we need him? But yeah, so I could really anticipate the Dallas Cowboys defense getting 3 or 4 interceptions in this Week 1 game. So Colm,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't disagree with you. That's the way to beat Tampa, is to force Tom Brady into situations and hope that he throws interceptions. But Tom Brady will find a way, and that's what I think is going to happen in this one. I think that it's going to come down to Dallas Cowboys are going to take the lead. The problem is they're going to leave too much time on the clock for Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And he's going to lead a game-winning drive downfield, and the Buccaneers are going to win a close one on a last-second drive by Tom Brady.
Is Tom Brady the best quarterback the last 90 seconds of any game?
Him and Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I've never seen anything like these two. When there was a meme that I've seen go around where it's funny because it's the Cowboys fans, but there's a Green Bay Packer fan sitting amongst the Cowboys fans who are cheering, and there's a minute 34 left on the clock, and they had just scored the go-ahead touchdown, and the Packers fan has a picture of all the Cowboys fans cheering, and he's smiling in it. He said they're cheering with a minute 34 to go in the fourth quarter. It's cute.
That's cute. So on the flip side of the coin, Combs, how can Tampa Bay win this game versus the Dallas Cowboys?
Just like I said, Tom Brady. Tom Brady's going to show up and do what Tom Brady does. He is going to lead this team all season long. They're going to have ups, they're going to have downs, but they're going to have a lot more ups than downs. And this is going to be one of them. This is going to be one of those games where it's a hard-fought game. It's going to be a statement game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that, hey, we're back. We're ready to do this thing again. And, like I said, last second drive, Tom Brady's going to do his thing.
Yeah. I think how, like I've been saying all show long, how they can win this game is they give Leonard Fournette the ball. They give him the ball over and over and over again, just like how the Cowboys can win this game, is give Zeke the ball over and over and over like again. So I do not want to see pass happy stuff. I want to see, hey, we are going to run the ball. We are going to milk the clock. And I think that's how every team is going to win this year in the NFL is a lot of runs. Like, I think that we are going to see a lot of running games this year in the NFL. The two-back system is going to take over. We are not going to see a 5,000-yard passer. We are not going to see a 40-touchdown guy. I think we're going to see a lot of runs this year, and I think that's how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win this game.
Yeah, that's interesting because we've got the other South Division, and we're going to talk about them in a little bit, but there's a team over there that likes to run the ball a lot, and I think that's actually going to be their downfall this year.
Yeah.
So, running the ball a lot can be good, but you really have to be able to rely on your run game, and you better have a really good two-back set in order to do that.
Yeah, you are 100% correct on that. So, Combs, without further ado, who wins tomorrow night's game? The Dallas Cowboys or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I already spoiled that one. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers win a close game. That one's going to be tight. In last second drive by Tom Brady, and I'll put a score on it. I'll put a score of, let's say, 31-27.
31-27 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I like where your head is at, where the 31 points there, but that is going to come with the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys will score 31 points. Dak Prescott will have 3 touchdowns. Zeke will have a touchdown as as well. And I don't think this is a close game, to be honest. I'm picking 31-21. Dallas Cowboys win this game. They shock the world. This is one of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' 5 losses of the season, squashing that 17-0 crap right off the bat there, just because I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are really ready to play, because we've heard talk all season long. 22 players are returning. We've heard Mike Evans say we are better than we were last year, yada, yada, yada. That kind of makes me wonder if they're not really working that hard. Maybe they're thinking things are going to come a little easy, and I have to take a page out of your playbook. It's week 1. Anything can happen. We don't know where Dak Prescott at. We don't know how Tom Brady's knee has healed. Yes, you can say he's 100%, but you don't know if you're 100% till you get hit. So week 1 is anything can happen. I'm picking the Dallas Cowboys.
I wouldn't be shocked if you're correct. I really wouldn't. I like the Dallas Cowboys. I like Dak Prescott. A comeback player of the year this year is where I think he's at, possibly even MVP talk like he was through the first 5 weeks of last year before he went down. I would not be surprised at all if that happens. I just wouldn't.
All right, so Combs, these bets will go, or these game picks will be going into our Wheel of Death. And tell the people a little about the Wheel of Death. What is that all about?
So we came up with a Wheel of Death. We've got a bunch of punishments up there. There's going to be some silly stuff. There's going to be some fun stuff. There's some stuff that's kind of scary on there, not going to lie. But, it's going to be stuff like, eat a spoonful of peanut butter and do a segment without taking a drink. That type of stuff. I think we also have on there do a segment where you're putting a marshmallow in your mouth every 30 seconds or something. We've got some crazy ones up there. So this Wheel of Death is going to be a lot of fun. My question is, did we get the picks from the guys? What are their picks on this?
Oh, we will definitely need to get in the chat and get with Tori and Wyatt, because we can't get them Thursday night. We need them right now. So one of the Wheel of Death things was chug a bottle of syrup, and when I saw Wyatt chug it in like 15 seconds, like if I feel like if we don't do it under 30, we're all gonna be punked out. Like there is gonna be no doubt in my mind. But man, that one scares me, Combsy. That one scares me.
The chugging the bottle of syrup scares you?
Yeah.
Just go get the one that Tori had, because it's the diabetic stuff, so there's no sugar in it.
I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the morning, man. When I go down there and take my morning poop, like, is it going to be sticky? Like, is it going to be green? Like, I'm worried about that, Combs. I am
Tori
not
said
going to
he
lie.
just had really bad gas when he did it.
Yeah, but he said it was the worst gas of his life. And I work in a cubicle, Combs. Like, I
He
can't
said
be
he pulled a
farting like
dog
that.
fart. Yeah, he said
Yeah.
he pulled a dog fart and woke himself up out of a dead sleep. So.
And I've already been having dog farts like all week.
Oh, God.
I had sushi yesterday for like lunch. I had spicy tuna, which I love spicy tuna.
Yeah.
But man, I've been rotten
Dude,
all
poor
day.
Cindy.
Yeah, poor Cindy. She has worse gas than me after having 2 kids.
Oh, you better stop talking. Oh, you better stop right now, Buck.
Yeah.
I'm trying to save your marriage.
Yeah,
Knock it off.
You are 100%. All right, guys. So last 30 minutes of the show, we're going to open it up to Shop Talk here. And if you guys got any questions, feel free to post them down in the chat box here. The phone lines are open, 812-406-8384. But Combs, the first question that I want to ask you, Drew said, who was the first player to have 1,000 yards rushing and passing in the same season?
Who was the first player? Was that Michael Vick?
That's what I would think so. But then I'm thinking, you know what? What about Randall Cunningham and those boys?
Warren Moon.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I
I would say Vic, but if not, it could have been the boy you like to trash on. It could have been Lamar. Lamar might have been the first player to ever do it.
So is that passing yards as like a quarterback or receiving? I guess it would be called receiving yards.
Yeah,
So
it's gotta
a
be.
thousand season. It has to be, because I think that's the reason why Lamar Jackson won the game or won the MVP, was because he was the first player ever to do the 1,000, right?
Yeah.
So Drew, I think I'm gonna go with Lamar Jackson. Combs, are you going with Lamar?
I'm gonna stick with Michael Vick.
My Michael Vick, yeah. I can't remember if Michael Vick broke 1,000 yards, but I feel like it was somebody like Steve Young or
I think Michael Vick ran for 1,000 yards in one game one time.
yeah. Well,
He
it
used
only
to make
counted at
guys
6
look
yards,
silly.
but he did run 1,000, right? Doing his all
Yeah,
jukes,
yeah.
all like
Exactly.
all right. So Combs, do you want to go ahead and scroll through the chat there and see and make sure we addressed all the comments tonight here?
Yeah.
Before we,
So let's see here. What do we got? Usually when you do this, that means that somebody's in here saying something about me. I see Luke G says when the Lions and Bears play, we'll have to talk. That is a definite, because I have that as Justin Fields' first game as a starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears.
So that is that's week 4. So Luke G, what's that? That'd be first week of October. We'll definitely have you on.
And the Lions will be 0-3 at that point.
Yeah, no, but so Drew actually clarified. He said who was the first player to have 1,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards rushing.
Oh,
That
he
had
said
been-
passing at first.
Yeah, he said passing.
Okay,
passing at
receiving
first.
yards. Sorry.
Has to be
Rushing
CMC.
and receiving.
I'm gonna go Jamal
no,
Charles. Kansas
you know
City
what?
Chiefs.
I'm gonna go Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Jim Brown did it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jamal Charles because he was.
Yeah.
Do you remember how good Jamal Charles was
Ooh,
those
you
couple
know,
years in the
he-
Chiefs?
Bo Jackson would have been another one.
Yeah, but
Could've been
he
Bo.
didn't play all 16 NFL games because he was still playing baseball the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, I think.
Yeah, but he still could have had 1,000. He was
True.
He's probably the most freakiest athlete I've ever seen in my entire life. Was Bo Jackson.
100%. All right, go ahead and jump in the chat there.
Oh, sorry,
You're all
lost
good.
track here. Let's see what else we got. Nobody answered my quiz. Oh, that's the quiz question we're on now. I think we got to everything.
So the answer
Luke G
for
says Bears fans make me LOL so much.
Combs, have you been on Luke G's show?
I went on the one time.
Okay.
We talked about some stuff, and
So
it's good stuff.
So the last time that Tori was on there, he wanted to have a Bears fan, a Lions fan, Packers fan, and a Vikings fan all on the same show. We know
Wait,
a
the
Vikings
Vikings
fan,
have fans?
Mike Reeves or
Oh
or
yeah,
like
that's
or
true.
like or Benz. Luke G, we can make that happen. We like
An NFC North team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got our boy Mike Reeves from Twist Sports This Week in Sports Talk. We have Combs as
Yeah.
the Bear fans. We have Tori as a Packers
Tori.
fan, and then you are the Lions fans. Bada bing, bada boom. You have an NFC North show right there, Luke.
We
Juju.
should do an NFC trash talk show.
Yeah,
I like that NFC North trash talk show.
you guys can
That's a
go live
great
in the
idea.
NFC North Trash Talk group powered by Man Hour. So
Let's do it.
let's do it. Javier says Brady will be the first quarterback to take 2 different teams to the Super Bowl and win. Wow, I'm never betting against him.
Brady's
Yeah,
ready.
He's Javier. Let's fast forward to 2021, buddy. He has already done that. Maybe he win multiple Super Bowls with 2 different teams.
Yeah.
Has that ever been done?
I'm just surprised he didn't say he's going to be the first one to win one at home, because that's already happened too.
Yeah. So, Combs, let's go ahead and end the show, buddy. I got an interview
ready?
line up. Yeah, I got an interview. No, we can't do that, Combs. The people want to hear us talk. We have to talk the AFC South, Combs. We have to talk the
All
AFC.
right.
We have to talk the AFC
Haha,
South.
we tricked you guys. Drew just had a heart attack. He was
However,
afraid we were ending.
first, before we go into that, you have to talk about what Major League Baseball did and how they effed up their publicity again.
I just don't get it. You have the Hall of Fame ceremony. You move it because you want more people to go to it, because you want more people to interact with the Hall of Fame ceremony. So you move it to a Wednesday afternoon in September. Not if you're going to move it to September, you've got the September 11th, 20th anniversary of September 11th. You've got the Yankees versus the Mets in New York. You've got Derek Jeter, the captain, getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. Why not have the ceremony in the morning? Have Jeter drive to New York, throw out the first pitch, have your September 11th memorial, thing that you're going to do throughout the league, and make it a day. How do you miss the boat on this? Like, how is baseball so bad at this every single time? Like, I don't get it. The commissioner is the worst commissioner in all of sports. But baseball's been doing this for a long time. It's not just on him. It boggles my mind how bad baseball is at marketing itself. They just need to hire me to be the commissioner of Major League Baseball. A lot more fans would be happy. The game would be in a better place. Combs for commissioner. How about that?
Hashtag Combs for commissioner moving forward here. When is what's his commissioner's name? It's Rod Manfred, right?
Rob Manfred.
Manfred. When is his contract up?
I have no clue. Hopefully tomorrow.
So let's say it's 2024. Combs for commissioner 2020 or 24. I will start the online petition right now. Man, I wish we had Luke G's numbers here, like on the live. He has like 1,000 people in his live. Man, we could start that hashtag trending right now, Combs. But you guys do your best to make that trend right now, because this Combs for commissioner, Combsy. Combs for commissioner 100%.
Hashtag beast.
Luis Gonzalez needs to throw out the first pitch. Or Luis Gonzalez, my bad. Is Luis Gonzalez going in the Hall of Fame too? I feel like he should be getting close. No?
He's not going to go to the Hall of Fame.
Oh.
No way. He doesn't get in.
All right.
I wouldn't put him in. I don't know.
All right. So, Combs, let's talk about the AFC South. We've talked about the NFC South, but let's talk about, many people are calling this the worst division in football, and that is the AFC South. So let's talk with the bust of the quarterback and Mr. Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars themselves. Like, obviously, they traded off Garner Minshew because they didn't want any quarterback controversy whatsoever. So, Combs, how do you have the Jacksonville Jaguars doing this year?
Is this a serious question right now?
Yeah.
I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars doing better than the Detroit Lions. I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars at 3-14. And the worst part about that for Jacksonville Jaguars fans, they start out the season 2-0. I've got them beating Houston and Denver in the first 2 weeks. But then, I mean, look, the schedule, they play Arizona, Cincy, Tennessee after that. Then they've got Miami, who's better. Then they've got to go to Seattle. Then they got Buffalo, Indy, San Francisco. and then they beat Atlanta. But then they get the Rams and they get Tennessee again, and then they get Houston, which that's a winnable game. I'll give them that, maybe 4 wins. But they got the Jets and the Patriots and the Colts again. It's just not going to be a good year for Jaguars fans.
Yeah, it is going to be a good year for Jacksonville Jaguars fans because they will get another top pick in the NFL draft. So maybe they can put some talent like around Trevor Lawrence because Travis Etienne is
you need
out.
to put an offensive line around him.
Yeah, exactly there. But Travis Etienne is out for the season, and the game that I have circled is a Week 9 game when the Buffalo Bills come down to Jacksonville and they play the Jaguars. I believe it's like a 1:00 game or so, but I think the Buffalo Bills will forget to show up that game.
Stop.
We were talking earlier how teams forget to show up, and I think that Week 9 game is the game. Trevor Lawrence finally plays somewhat competitively as a NFL quarterback, and they sneak out a win, like 16-14.
You're right. Buffalo does forget to show up that game, and they still win by 3 touchdowns.
Mr. Trubisky will start that game, and they'll still win, right? No,
Yeah.
But I do have the Jacksonville Jaguars going 5-12 this season. Actually, have them going 2-4 in the division, beating Houston and also beating the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see it at all.
Who's a player you're watching out for this year for the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Trevor Lawrence, because I want to watch him be the bust that I said that he's going to be. I'm not big on Trevor Lawrence. I'm definitely not big on this coaching staff in Jacksonville. I'm not an Urban Meyer guy at all. I think he's probably the bigger bust out of the two, and he's going to be the reason why Trevor Lawrence does not fare very well. This team is not good. The organization is not good. Trevor Lawrence is in a bad situation. So the best thing that could have happened to Trevor Lawrence was the Jets getting the number 1 pick. As much as people were saying that would have been the worst thing, that would have been the best thing. Because he would have went with Robert Saleh and he'd be having the Zach Wilson type career as opposed to Zach Wilson. So
right.
it was just bad luck, and the best thing he could do is wait out the contract, not sign an extension, and try to go play for another team in 5 years.
Yeah, pull a Deshaun Watson and get all that money and then force your way out by sleeping with like a bunch of hookers. But on the flip side of that, I do think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a bust, but I think his bust is kind of going to be drawn out to year 3 or year 4. But the player that I'm going to look for this year, kind of maybe a fantasy sleeper, is going to be Carlos Hyde, because I don't trust the receiving core for the Jacksonville Jaguars whatsoever. But I do trust them enough to kind of keep the running game kind of or the opposing defenses to keep the passing game, kind of in the back of their head. And I think that's when Carlos Hyde comes in and rumbles off a 10-yard run here, 15-yard run there. So I would anticipate him, having a few games of like 100 yards plus, and I could really see it moving forward. So with that being said there, Combs, I think my thing froze on me, so I'm not for sure what's going on. I'm for sure viewer in, but I think I'm in solo mode here for a while. So let's talk about possibly the second worst team in this division, and that is going to be the Houston Texans.
Does that mean I get to go home?
No, you're already home. You're home, Combs. So do you have any games circled for the Houston Texans?
I do not. Look, the Houston Texans are only going to be 1 win ahead of the Atlanta Falcons this year. I've got the Houston Texans at 1-16. Again, they play a tough schedule. I mean, outside of the division, which I've got them at 1-5 in, that's the only game they win is a divisional game. I don't have this team doing very well. I've got them beating Jacksonville in week 15. They're 0-14 heading into that game, or 0-13 heading into that game. I mean, look, they lose to Jacksonville week 1. Cleveland, Carolina, Buffalo, New England, Indy, Arizona, the Rams, Miami, Tennessee, the Jets, Indianapolis, Seattle. I mean, this is just a brutal schedule. And they're just not good. The offensive line is trash. Tyrod Taylor is going to run for his life, and he is not even a tenth of the quarterback that Deshaun Watson is. I don't see more than one win here. I just don't.
Yeah, Combs, I'm kind of on the opposite side of this spectrum for you. I do see Tyrod Taylor running for his life the first 2 weeks of the season, but week 3 is when Deshaun Watson will be activated on this Houston Texans team, and then he will win that first game, and then like he'll kind of go back and forth, lopsided. But week 11 to week 15 there, I have that circled. I have them rattling off, Combs, 5 wins in a row for beating the Titans, beating the Jets, beating the Colts, beating the Seahawks, and beating the Jaguars, and giving them a 7-10 record on the season. I think many people are overlooking the Houston Texans because of the whole Deshaun Watson thing. And you've said it many, many times, the Deshaun Watson on any other team makes him a playoff caliber team. So I feel like with the
on
Houston
this team, he was only a 3-13 team last year.
Yeah, but also, you know, they had a massive amount of injuries and steroid use and suspensions and yada yada yada.
Yeah, but they haven't gotten any better.
But they haven't got any worse. And I think as Deshaun Watson ages and matures, he is guaranteed him at the quarterback. You are guaranteed 6 wins, no matter what team you are on. And I think with the running game that they have,
what if you're on the 2020 Houston Texans? You're only guaranteed 3.
Well, if you take this year's Deshaun Watson and put him on the 2020 team, you'll still get six wins.
Oh,
so
man.
and the seventh win comes from their running game. So I am going to do a sleeper pick, or like the player to watch is their whole running core there. Like I like their first string, second string, and third string. I like the whole running back core, running back by committee, because we saw Philip Lindsay do pretty good in Denver. We saw Mark Ingram do pretty good in a Saints uniform and in a Ravens uniform. So, and they just picked up Rex Burkhead too. So
I thought you were high on Tyrod Taylor.
I didn't say I was high on Tyrod Taylor. That was all
I'm
Suit Bosch trying to push my buttons.
I'm pretty sure you said Tyrod Taylor was the best quarterback on the Houston Texans.
I did not say that.
I'm pretty sure you said that last week.
I've said some pretty crazy shit, but I've never said that.
All right. We'll have to roll the tape back. Pretty
Listen,
sure you said that last week.
If I did say that, it was because I was trying to play into Soupbot's hands. Let's just be honest, like about that. So moving on in here into the AFC West, or sorry, the AFC South, I should say. We've already kind of hit on them a little bit, and that's the Tennessee Titans. Combs, how do you think the Tennessee Titans will do this year?
I don't have them. I have them taking a step back this year. I'm going to circle a couple of games here. The game against Buffalo in week 6, and then the game against Kansas City in week 7. Those are going to be 2 huge games for them. That's what's going to turn this season around and turn it on its head for them. I think that turns them into a tailspin. I think they lose between week 6 and week 11. They lose 5 straight games. And this team finishes 8-9 for me. I've got losses against Arizona, Indianapolis, Buffalo, Kansas City, Indianapolis again, the Rams, New Orleans, San Francisco, and Miami. And I think that Miami game in week 17 is what pole vaults Miami into the playoffs and knocks Tennessee out of them. This is going to be an 8-9 team. And I think the biggest problem for them, for me, is how heavy they rely on the run.
Yes.
And at some point, I don't care how hard he works, because King Henry is a beast. King Henry is a stud. He's a top 3 running back in the NFL right now. But when you have to run the ball 300 times a season, at some point that's going to catch up to you. At some point you're going to take a step back. And I think that sometime is now. Even though they went out and got Julio Jones, they've still got Ryan Tannehill throwing the ball. And at some point, Ryan Tannehill is going to be the reason you lose. So I don't like what the Tennessee Titans have, especially with the schedule that they have. It's another, this AFC South plays almost as brutal of a schedule as the NFC North does. Having to play the NFC West for your out of division or your out of conference schedule, and then having to play the AFC West for your out of division schedule. It's just it's a brutal schedule. And so I have them at 8 and 9.
Yeah, so much like what you said, they have a stretch of season where I have them winning 5 games in a row, and that is from week 4 to week 8. I actually have them knocking off the Buffalo Bills. I have them knocking off the Kansas City Chiefs, and I have them knocking off the Indianapolis Colts at Indy. For whatever reason whatsoever, Indy plays well in Nashville, and the Titans play well in Indy, and I don't know why. It just for whatever reason, the road team always wins that game. But then after that, week 9, the schedule does not get easy for them at all because they do play the Rams, Saints, and the Texans, which are going to be a much improved team, and the Patriots. So I actually have them winning 5 in a row, and then I have them losing 5 games in a row. Actually, I had them losing 7 games in a row, finishing 9 and 8 on the season. Right now, I do have them sitting at number 7 as a wild card, but the game that I have circled that could kind of make or break that season is that Kansas City Chiefs game. If they lose that game to the Kansas City Chiefs, they are on the outside of the playoffs looking in, and I think Miami, just like what you said, will slide in there. So let's jump into this comment here that Soup Boss says, and he says that they got Julio Jones to take up DB's attention and make teams decide to crowd the box or double their hair receivers. Can't do both. You are absolutely right, Soup Boss. You cannot do both. But also, what the Tennessee Titans lost in the off season, they lost their tight end to the Patriots. Julio Jones is over the hill. And I think A.J. Brown, he is a good receiver, but I'm not for sure where Ryan Tannehill is at in his progression as a quarterback. I think Ryan Tannehill is a good quarterback, but I don't think he is a great quarterback.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that,
look,
Combs?
You got King Henry. I was just looking at it. 671 attempts in the last 2 seasons.
That's ridiculous.
That's a ton of attempts on a running back. And in this league, 621 attempts is just too many. And at some point, that's going to catch up to you. This guy has gradually gotten better. I will say that. As he's gone, his numbers have gotten better. His attempts have gotten better. He's only gotten better. Yeah. I agree there. And I'm not saying King Henry's bad. As a matter of fact, King Henry is my player to watch for the Tennessee Titans. Because if he has another 2,000-yard season, my prediction gets blown up, and they're competing for the division crown. Because this team is doing really well if he's still running for 2,000 yards. I just don't think it's sustainable. I have to see it to believe it. And I have said that King Henry reminds me a lot of Jim Brown. And if that holds true, then that's what we got. And Tennessee will be a lot better than what I think that they're going to be if King Henry can sustain what he's sustained so far.
Javier says King Henry will be the king again, and he's a monster. He is not even a top 5 running back in the NFL going into 21 season. There, Mr. Javier.
He's a top 3.
Top 3 when
I can give you Saquon. I can give you Saquon and CMC maybe just because of their ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, which
Zeke
makes them better
Alvin Kamara.
All right, I'll give you Zeke, but Zeke's coming off of a really bad year. He's got something to prove this year.
Exactly.
Can he prove it though? I think Zeke is closer to falling off the cliff right now than King Henry is.
I can give you 5 right now, Combs, that are better than King Henry.
No, you can't.
Delvin Cook.
False.
Aaron Jones, CMC,
False.
Saquon, Zeke.
Saquon, I'll give you. I'll give you Saquon, and I'll give you CMC. I'm not getting there. There is no way. The rest of them are just you blowing smoke because you don't want to admit that you were wrong about him being the 7th best running back last year. So you moved him up one spot.
Yeah.
And made him the 6th best. And the guy's coming off a 2,000-yard rush season. Now I will agree with you. I think that the carries and I think that the yards and I think that all the work has to catch up to him at some point. I don't know if that's going to be this year. I think it might be, but I don't know that. But heading into the season without having a game played yet, to not have him in the top 3, it's just my word of the week. That's asinine.
Yeah, that's a 9, that's a 10, that's 11, that's 12. Speaking of top 10 rankings in the all of the NFL, the Indianapolis Colts did pick up a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, and last year, they had Phillip Rivers. This year, they got the top 10 quarterback in Carson Wentz. So, Combs, how do you see the Indianapolis Colts season faring out for them?
He's not a top 10 quarterback, but I see the Colts doing very well. I like the offensive line. I like what they've got at quarterback. I like the depth that they have at quarterback. I think that the Indianapolis Colts are going to fare well. I've got a couple of games circled on the schedule, including Week 5 against the Baltimore Ravens, which I have the Colts winning that game. And then if you look again at Week 12 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I have the Bucs winning that game, but I think it's a close one. I think it gives Indy the confidence to know that they are among the elite teams in the AFC. And so I have the Indianapolis Colts finishing at 11-6 and winning the AFC South.
And that's exactly where I have the Indianapolis Colts as well, 11-6. They do win the NFC South, but their division record is 3-3. So one game that I
have
do
6-0 in the division, sweeping the division.
Wow, that is very tough. So, but I could definitely see it happening, but I'm not going to go out on a limb and say it quite yet. But the game that I have circled is a game that many people probably won't have circled like as much CTV because the San Francisco 49ers were down so much last year. But it is that Week 7 game when the Indianapolis Colts travel to San Francisco, which they're coming off a bye week, and they play San Francisco. There, for whatever reason, San Francisco is a hard place to play. Teams forget to show up. Like, is it the long flight there? Is it the time change? Is it is it the heat? I don't know. But this is kind of like a turning point for the Indianapolis Colts season. I had them starting off 5-1, and then I actually had them losing to the San Francisco 49ers. I think if they beat the San Francisco 49ers, we are looking at a 13-14 win team. But since I had them losing, that is why I actually had them going out and being 11-6 this season. Any players to watch out for, Combs?
For me, this one's got to be Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz needs to return at least, if not to MVP form like he was in 2018.
Yep.
But he needs to be at least close to that. So he'd be my player to watch out for. Also, Michael Pittman would be another one to watch out for.
I do like Michael Pittman a lot, but I'm going to go with the tight end there, and the name slipping my mind right now. What is his name? It's the Jack Doyle.
Oh, not Goddard.
So they kind of do a tight end by committee with the Cox and him. But I think Jack Doyle, not Zach Doyle. Jack Doyle has to have a breakout season for Carson Wentz to kind of be that dumped down type of guy. So that's
I like that.
So before we head out, Soup Boss says Carson Wentz doesn't play 9 games this season.
Look, you're not going out on a limb there, Soup. The guy hasn't played a full season his entire career. Since his rookie year, I don't believe. So that would not surprise me. I do like the Indianapolis. I like Jacob Eason. I really do. And so I think that if Jacob Eason has to take over, I think you could see I don't want to say the same thing that we saw in the Chargers organization last year. I don't want to say he's going to be that good, but I bet you any money that I would still have them winning this division, and they'd still win at least 9 to 10 games.
The positive thing about the Indianapolis Colts and Carson Wentz, if Carson Wentz does go down, the Indianapolis Colts have such a strong team on the defensive side of the ball. They have the offensive line, they have the running game, they have the receiving core with like T.Y. Hilton and Pittman Jr., and they can almost plug and play any quarterback, and they're going to be a 9-win team. No matter what.
If Carson Wentz goes down early, watch out for them to make a trade to go either get Deshaun Watson, or and hear me out here, they could go to Chicago and get a guy who won a Super Bowl with the coaching staff in Indianapolis, and they could come and get their boy Nick Foles.
Who do you think would be a better value? Because obviously Deshaun Watson is going to warrant 3 first-round picks and a couple second-round picks. Nick Foles is probably going to warrant like a 5th-round pick, maybe a 6th-round pick. Who is the best bang for
Deshaun Watson? Because you're the Super Bowl. You become just as good, if not better, than the Buffalo Bills with Deshaun Watson on the Indianapolis Colts.
Are they Super Bowl caliber with Deshaun Watson?
Yes.
All right. You guys heard it here first. Deshaun Watson to Indianapolis Colts, and they're Super Bowl champions per Brandon Beastie Combs. Combs.
That's not what I said.
That's kind of what you said in a roundabout way. Read between the lines. But Combsy, send us out, big guy.
Man Hour Nation, rise up.